You are listening to the Colts Report with Will and Dave Retherford every Friday on the Central Indiana Sports Report. There is a little bit of adult language in this podcast. If you have children with you or sensitive ears, please find a different podcast on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, Colts fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for a thrown-together version of the Colts Report here with Will and Dave Retherford, here to preview camp a little bit, talk about our expectations for camp, where the Colts are now. A couple of weeks ago, we, as a trio for the first time, broke down every single game for the Colts this season. Please go back and listen to that. And today we're going to talk about Colts camp. It's here, guys.
Yeah, Tuesday, my dad was sitting here talking. It's crept up on us for sure. There's no question about it. I mean, the fact that they start in July, I think today there were 4 teams that had rookies report today. Obviously, they're going to
being Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, July 22nd. There were 4 teams that reported already. The Patriots being one of those. Greg, I'm curious to hear kind of your thoughts or your takeaways, because you and I were so bearish, if we're going to use financial terms this evening, last year on what we thought the Colts were going to be with either Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Now that we know the direction where they go this year, how do you feel?
I feel pretty much the same as last year, is that there's potential for a pretty good team, but this is a championship city. Colts fans are used to championships, and pretty good teams are just as good to us as not very good teams. If we don't have a championship team, we're not as interested, and that's just kind of the way this fan base is. And right now they haven't proven to me that they're a championship-worthy team in any way. That's how I feel, Dave.
I agree with you, Greg. And I think you said this last year, son. You know, Daniel Jones is going to be good enough to keep us mediocre. He's going to be good enough to get us a middle-of-the-road, draft pick, and we're just going to continue to stay in this mediocrity, The
last year before the season, I told Will, I thought Daniel Jones could be a top 10 NFL quarterback in a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and he was kind of surprised by that. And then we found out that's about what he is. He can be about the 10th best quarterback in the NFL, and that's if you have a great team around him. Is it possible he can be a championship-winning quarterback? I think so, but they don't have a good enough roster around him, right?
There's some offensive weapons. I mean, assuming that Jonathan Taylor can continue to put up the numbers that he continues to do. It's going to be interesting to see how Alec Pierce does with this new contract.
And everybody's excited about Tyler Warren, I think.
And the loss of Pittman, how much of a loss is that? I've always kind of been a Josh Downs fan. I'm hoping maybe he gets a little bit more
good opportunity
to show himself. He has some offensive weapons, and I don't think their offensive line is poor. It's just, can they all stay healthy? I'm a little concerned about depth.
It could be a good offensive line.
And defensively, can they do what they need to do to keep the Colts in games?
Is their front seven good enough? Will, how excited are you about Tyler Warren, and how good can he be?
Oh, Greg, I think Tyler Warren can be a top 3 tight end in the league already. In fact, I would have him in my top 3 if I were going to evaluate the position in the entire league. I think his versatility as a blocker, how they're able to use him as a weigh-in block, how they're able to use him as a fullback, leading Jonathan Taylor when needed. I think was really good out of the slot. I think that you could take him out wide if you needed to. He's the Colts' best athlete. There's no question about that.
I don't think there's a tight end in the league I'd take over him right now when you're talking about his future, too.
No, I think, I think there's better tight ends in terms of receiving capability. I think Trey McBride is a really good receiver, but I also think that's a product of the Cardinals really being behind in a lot of games and having to kind of force feed them because Marvin Harrison missed 6 games last year. So I'm curious to see how Warren looks with an entire year of Daniel Jones, if God willing he can stay healthy. Because last year his fall off, once they brought Rivers in, was pretty extreme. So that is something to be concerned about. But I expect that Steichen is going to unleash a year 2 Tyler Warren that we have not seen yet.
Guys, how much are we going to be having our eyes on Anthony Richardson during this camp?
I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on Anthony Richardson. And clearly, we drafted him with, the fifth pick? Fourth pick for a reason. I understand that he's a backup and that he's not ever really materialized here, but let's face it, I mean, we're one injury away from him being able to prove himself again, potentially. And there's no question that he has talent and he has ability, but he's just never been healthy enough to ever put it together. So if he stays healthy, he could be a surprise backup for the Colts, and who knows when he may have to play.
I don't think that there should be any conversation involving Anthony Richardson being traded, because
Amen.
The only backup quarterback that I would say I know for sure is going to be a backup this upcoming season that I would take over Richardson would be Mac Jones. That's it. He is, in terms of what he's able to do, how he's able to be an athlete. And the listeners of the Colts Report, let's get one thing straight. Whenever you have to bring a backup quarterback in a game, the script's gone. We're done. Because you don't script for your backup quarterback. You just don't. I mean, as Peyton Manning once said, I believe Tom Moore, the great Tom Moore, once said, we don't practice with our backup because we don't practice fuck. When Peyton Manning was there. And that's going to get edited out, I'm sure. But that's the truth.
No, it's not.
It is. You don't practice it. So when you have a quarterback that has the physical capability of Anthony Richardson, he's the perfect backup quarterback, because you can bring him in and say, Anthony, be an athlete. If we need to go off script and you need to make plays without the constraints that maybe a Daniel Jones needs, you can do that. He is going to be a backup quarterback that can win you a game if Daniel Jones is out. He's a great bullpen arm. I love him out of my bullpen. And I don't think whatever you get for him is going to not be anywhere near as valuable as him if Daniel Jones gets injured. Because you don't want to have to rely on Riley Leonard as good as he played, I think, in that last game at Houston. Do you really want him to be your backup for the entire year? I don't know. I'll open the floor up for that debate, but I don't know.
I still dream about the potential of Anthony Richardson. By the way, no way will a story about Peyton Manning and Tom Moore be edited, even no matter what words you use to describe.
I didn't say it verbatim how that story went, but that's pretty much what happened. I'm curious to see. I'm sure there's going to be teams that call the Colts about him. If he looks good in camp,
don't do it.
I would say don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay, the Colts aren't winning the Super Bowl this year. I just want to say that first. But if there's a scenario in which they win a Super Bowl, Anthony Richardson becomes the guy that we expected when they drafted him. That's the only way the Colts are winning a Super Bowl, and I still have my hopes on that, although it's not happening at this point. But I'm still saying Daniel Jones' ceiling is way below Anthony Richardson. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I feel like the Colts have kind of answered that by not moving him. I got to think that they must still have some kind of confidence that he can be the player that he was. It's either that or nobody wants him.
How about just put in some plays for him?
Well, that was what I was going to say, and it's interesting that we're talking about this. Will and I, in a drive to Kansas City to watch the Cardinals play, talked a little bit about, like, you've got a freak talent in this guy. Why can't we utilize some of that freak talent? I mean, I don't even know that he couldn't be a backfield option in a situation, right. A wildcat option,
a tight end option,
go out and take a screen pass, put in a few plays where you allow yourself to put that kind of talent on the field. And I think that even more, knowing that we have Riley Leonard. Is he as good? No. But is he at least shown that he could potentially be a capable backup? Of course. I think he's shown that at this point. So
he's a generic Anthony Richardson.
If Richardson gets some plays in other places, you put him at risk in his health. But it's not like you don't have another guy sitting there. I know in the NFL, that's not the way it works. You're a quarterback and you're a quarterback. You don't just all of a sudden become a running back or a receiver or whatever typically. But we're talking about a freak athlete.
Let's
here.
Cordell Stewart this guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Slash Richardson. Let's slash Richardson this guy. Dave and Will and I will be right back. We're going to take a quick break. To you, it'll be about 5 seconds. All right. Well, listeners barely had a chance to miss us, but we were out for a little while talking about what we were going to talk about now and getting the dog in the house. But back from our break, Will, Shane Steichen, I felt like did a pretty good job last year in a lot of ways. Felt like his teams came out ready to play almost every game, and that was a really good sign. I feel like I have a lot more confidence in him as a head coach than I did at this time last year. This is a really big training camp for him and his staff.
Greg, I agree. Here's something to say in defense of Shane Steichen. So there were some stats came out. Warren Sharp of Sharp Football on Twitter, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. So since Shane Steichen became the Colts head coach in 2023, the Colts in first quarters since are top 3 in points per drive, scores per drive, and punts per drive. And that's despite
last year.
All of the issues. So there is definitely an element where he comes out hot. I think he might be the best play scripter in the league in terms of first 15 that we talk about. And I think that's first quarter and third quarter, where he has to be better. I think his game management is lackluster, probably at best. I think it's really bad it's really bad. That's the best way I can say. I think that his decisions with timeouts, I think his decisions sometimes working the clock, sometimes play design in the fourth quarter in terms of running the ball on, short yardage situations, eating some clock up. I don't think he's great at that. I also think that sometimes, and this is not necessarily football related, I don't think he's the best speaker. And I think that's important. I think your head coach has to be a message deliverer during the week. And I think last year, the way the whole Richardson-Jones situation was handled was just unprofessional and weird. And I think him and Ballard have a lot to work on in terms of how they handle and approach the media. And I think Colts fans, if that can get fixed, will view him in a different light than they do right now.
Dave, here's the way I look at Shane Steichen is I think he's going to be a really good head coach someday, not as the Colts head coach. He like coaching malpractice botched the Anthony Richardson situation. And I'm not sure that that's recoverable here in Indy. I hope it is. That's why it's a big camp for him.
No, I agree. I feel like we're starting to get to the point where he's had enough time to develop this team into a winner, and he hasn't done it yet. So, and I understand that he's only part of the equation here. Obviously, your general manager has to put the players together and give you a team to win. They're not winning.
Yeah, we're going to try to stay positive. We're not going to talk about the general manager too much.
Yeah. I mean, they're just not winning with the regularity that Colts fans expect. And I understand why, Carly Ursay decided to keep them this year, perhaps. But I think
Peyton Manning is going to be the team president next year.
This is going to be a huge year, and if they don't put up, then it's going to be time for them to go.
I've been beating that drum a long time. I'm telling you, they're just holding out. They're just waiting until Peyton's ready.
They're not. Dude's making $30 million a year. He's not gonna come be.
He can do all that other stuff he's doing right now. It's be the Colts team president.
No, we can't.
Why not?
Optics. It looks horrible. He can't be sitting.
Well, there's some of the things
shooting the shit with his brother on Monday Night Football. No,
there's definitely some things he couldn't be doing, but there are a lot of things he can continue to do and be the team president if you hire.
If he's the team president, quarterback doesn't happen because he's an executive producer on that show. They're never going to give the insight into a building. It's the whole Tom Brady situation. It's a complete conflict of interest.
It changes his, but nobody thought John Elway was going to do it, and he did. And I think Peyton Manning has a passion for the Colts being a winning franchise, and I just think it's something he's going to want to do at some point. And they're just waiting, and that's the only explanation why that jackass is still the Colts general manager.
Well, we'll be done talking about him. We'll go back to Steichen. And Greg's fan fiction fantasy that he has about Peyton Manning. Shane Steichen is one of the best coaches in the league at exploiting matchups. And I think that he has a player in Tyler Warren who he can exploit a lot of matchups with.
Oh, you're speaking my tune now.
I don't
Speaking
think
monkey.
that he has a ton of players outside of that offensively to create a lot of conflict with. I've long said I don't think Alec Pierce is that type of wide receiver.
Nope.
One thing I want to talk about, Nick Westbrook-Akine is going to come in as the Colts' number 2 receiver on the depth chart.
No.
That's a problem.
That's
a real
huge problem. I mean, are we going to see the evolution of Ashton Dulin from special teamer to wide receiver 2? Because I think that down size is always going to limit him to the slot. 5'9", 170. That's not big enough to play with the big boys. It's just not. He's got to play in the slot where he is really shifty. He gets open a lot. He avoids contact, which is great. But this receiving core that has been built for Shane Steichen is leaving a lot to be desired. And I think the absence of Michael Pittman Jr., for everything Colts fans said about him, is going to glare a lot early in this season before Shane Steichen can figure out how to call an offense for a 4-quarter game without him.
I still think the Colts have to make a move for another wide receiver.
Ooh.
But where's it coming from?
Exactly.
Now? I mean, it's almost August. I mean,
I don't know, but I'm not sure that this core can get it done. They're paying Pierce a lot of money. He's going to draw all the number 1 defensive backs and corners and safeties. He's going to get the double teams. He's going to get all those things because Westbrook just isn't good enough.
No.
None of them are. That's an issue.
Here's where this is what I want to pay attention to, and I think something to talk about and look at going into training camp is how often does Shane Steichen utilize 12 personnel. For the listeners of this show, we love you and appreciate you who do not know what that means. That is 1 running back and 2 tight ends in a formation. If they are going to use Mo Alley Cox a lot on the line of scrimmage with 2 tight ends, then I think the receiver issues aren't as big of a deal because at that point you only have 2 receivers on the field, and that would be Josh Downs in the slot and Alec Pierce out wide. And I think that would mask the weakness that they have at wide receiver 2, or at least throw a curveball. Because Shane Steichen, he's a 63% of the time he's 11 personnel. He's 1 tight end, 1 running back. I'm really curious to see if that evolution of his game, if he really views Mo Alley Cox as somebody that he can build around, if he views Drew Ogletree, if he wants to go 12 personnel that's less run block
tight end
heavy.
room, man.
It's a pretty good tight end room. So I think that is something that on the positive side, if Steichen can find a way to utilize that, and that is something the league went heavy to last year, that teams used to exploit. The Seahawks were great at it. The Lions are great at it. A lot of good offenses have really developed. The 49ers, Kyle Shanahan. These are teams that you would say are top 10 offenses in the league, and they're really starting to utilize this personnel group. Can Shane Steichen do that to the best of his ability? And it would make a huge impact on their receiving core as a whole.
Dave, I have an idea. Let's run the damn ball.
Just run the damn ball.
Let's do it. Let's just cram the ball down other teams' throats.
See, but then that's a whole other issue, though. Who's running back 2? Because you can't.
Those are easy. You ask about adding a receiver. Adding a running back 2 is an easy thing to do at this point.
Well, I like him to be here at the beginning of camp.
Yeah. Running backs can fit in at any time. That's the least of my concern is finding guys who can run the ball behind what I want to talk about next. And I want you to finish your thought, Will, but what could be a pretty darn good offensive line.
I'm just saying that I don't view DJ Giddens as a usable running back 2 in the league. They need a change up somewhere. Because I think last year, we talk about the offensive line. I think this is a great segue into it. I think that offensive line last year was really great the first 8 weeks, and then slowly those wheels started sputtering out as the year went on, and it coincides perfectly with Jonathan Taylor really starting to have his wheels sputter a lot.
Backup running backs get cut in camp. Number 2 wide receivers don't.
Well, I think that's right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I would like that to be addressed sooner than later.
Definitely needs to be addressed for sure. I think you need to have a number 2 and a number 3 if you're going to do that.
Yeah, well, we're just getting to this point with Taylor, and I think Dad and I have had this conversation. He's really going to start becoming an appreciated asset.
They need to run him
quickly.
Into the ground this year.
Well, but the issue with that is if the Colts aren't a Super Bowl team this year, then why are we wasting them? Because now we're wasting carries.
For them to be the team that they expect themselves to be, they need to run him into the ground. That needs to be what they're focused on, don't you think, with the offense?
For sure. I think they have to establish the run game, and they've got the offensive line to do that.
Maybe.
But I also know that we're going to have some change of back there a little bit too.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Taylor can't take every carry.
No,
he will.
can't.
His body will get beat up to the point that he is absolutely terrible in week 10 and week 11. Last year's issues also corresponded with, they became pretty one-dimensional once Jones got hurt and they had to run the ball more, and defenses were keying on that.
Yeah, it was impossible.
The offensive line was kind of at a no-win situation.
A bunch of young guys too, and
so
let's go there. I think the guy I'm watching more than anybody in this camp is Jalen Travis.
I'm glad you brought it there because I think you're right. And I say that because we view the Braden Smith leaving for Houston, which I don't love that he left for a division rival, as a addition by subtraction, that he really has kind of passed his prime shelf life as a right tackle, and they've kind of been bringing Jalen Travis along to fill that role whenever Braden Smith left. They've got 3 road graders down the middle. Quentin Nelson is as good of a left guard in the league as anybody. I think every great run that the Colts have is somehow corresponds to running behind Quentin Nelson, so I'm not worried there. I think Bortolini, his evolution in this offense as a second-year starting center, is going to be monumental for him. I expect him to be really good. I also really expect Matt Gonzalez to continue to ascend as a starting offensive lineman in the NFL. I just think that Travis, right tackle, is the easiest offensive line area to mask. You can't really do so with left tackle. Ryman had a down year last year. Hopefully he can recover. But if Travis is really bad, they're going to have some issues, and it's gonna make them have to go to 12 personnel a lot.
What we saw from him last year was pretty impressive.
He looked great.
I think he's got potential to be a pretty darn good tackle.
I really view the offensive line as probably one of our strongest areas. I think we've got some depth pieces there that can come in and fill in the gaps because there's going to be injuries, as we know. So I really feel like that is probably one of the strongest elements this team has.
I would agree.
And so, which is huge because if we can establish the run game, that's going to open up more opportunities for Jones with what we're still kind of got question marks about this receiving corps. So if the offensive line is not as good as advertised, this could be a really rough.
I think they're 7 deep. I think Blake Freeman and Dalton Hucker are both probably low-tier starting offensive linemen in the league, and they're your 6th and 7th guy. I like bringing Freeland off the bench in heavy packages. I expect to see a healthy dose of him, especially in goal line short yardage situations, bringing in the extra guy as an eligible receiver.
They got options. It'd be awfully nice if they just had a number 2 wide receiver.
He's
playing for the Steelers.
He is playing for the Steelers. He was tailor-made for this offense.
And he blocked downfield, and it's just a horrible choice. I'm sorry. I love you. I really do love Alec Pierce. I promise. But they just made the wrong choice.
And again, I know I'm in fairyland here just a little bit. It doesn't happen. But we do have a freak athlete that is just going to be sitting there holding the clipboard. Are there places where we can find ways to get him?
Plus, it would be fun. Plus, it would be fun having Anthony Richardson. Oh, he's coming in the game. Everybody gets excited. Anthony Richardson in the game. They've got a play that they've been working on all week just to get this big yard. And it could just be such a cool thing that they could add to this team. All right, let's talk a little bit about the defense. Dave, how big is defensive end this year? We got to get some pass rushing.
It's going to make or break our defense. I mean, our corners are great. I think our depth's a little bit of an issue there, but
maybe
I disagree.
Maybe.
I think secondary depth is a strength.
It might be, but a lot of that depends on guys getting healthy. But
so hopefully they're going to provide the time that even if our edge is not as quick as maybe it should be. If corners are holding up well, we'll be able to get there more often. But I think it's going to be huge, and I think it's a big question mark.
They can play right into the strength of Latu, just kind of free range, because he's not very disciplined as a pass rusher. But free range might be what he's kind of made for.
I don't think Arden Key was a huge upgrade. So
yeah, they're all kind of the same.
I think Arden Key was a name upgrade in terms of, if you followed the NFL for the last 8 years, of Arden Key, but I'm with you. I don't think that he makes a huge deal. I really hope that he can kind of have a resurgence with Anarumo. I was really hoping that the Colts were going to be one of the teams fighting for Trey Hendrickson, because I thought that he could really come back home with Lou and help this team out tremendously. I think Latu is a great athlete. I hope he can put it together, because I think he has the tools. I think he's a lot like Richardson. I think he's
out
tall.
of position. I think he needs to be a roving outside linebacker.
And I kind of think so too. I think they used him more as that last year. I think you saw him dropping back in coverage a little bit more. You saw him, especially in 3-man rush situations, he was dropping back significantly in zone, not really manned up with anybody. I think we haven't even hit on linebackers. Their biggest concern, because they're good enough, I think, still in the A gap with Stewart and Buckner, that they're going to be able to cause some issues for quarterbacks if Latu's able to get home, if Arden Key's able to get home within reason. But if CJ Allen's not good, or
great, that's the reason I think that they have a low ceiling, is just they don't have a middle of their defense. They just don't. And I think it's soft. I thought it was soft last year. I thought even Buckner and Stewart were pretty soft last year. And I just think that middle is going to be eaten alive.
It's a weak area, along with edge maybe not being as strong as a couple places, and we'll have to see if they can craft up the defensive scheme to make those things.
We might have some Colts games with no passes.
We have what this Colts team has to do is they have to get Sauce Gardner and Mooney Ward on the field at the same time for a significant part of the season.
Correct.
Because if there's one element of a team that can help
no doubt
your pass rush more than any other, it is your corners. They can make that pass rush look really good.
And they can make the run look predictable.
Yeah, and so they have to be on the field. They're such good players that if they're on the field, they're assets. Yeah. So it's just the element, can we keep them healthy? Can we keep them over the course of an 18-week schedule on the field for, I don't want to get greedy, I'm just saying if we could get them on the field for 14 of 17 games together, 13 of 17 games together, it's going to help the pass rush significantly.
18 months ago, if you'd have told me you'd have Ward and Gardner together as corners, I would have been really excited. Last year didn't go very well for either one of them, so it's a big year for them too.
If you'd have told me that 18 months ago, I said you're a dipshit, because why would you do that? But here we are. I hate to say it. I mean, everybody wanted Ballard to go do something, and he did something, but it's not.
Defensive backfield was their biggest weakness by far, and he turned it into a strength. That's why he did it.
And there's significant investment in doing so.
Yes, they did.
They did. Something that you see the dividend paid out a little bit for this Colts organization, this fan base, because they want to see great corner play. I can't recall one time in my life that there's been two corners on a Colts team this good. I mean, Vontae Davis was really good in his prime. Not like this. Darius Butler and Vontae Davis were a pretty good 1-2.
But the investment that they've made in these corners, they better be Mike Haynes and Lester Hayes from 1983.
I mean, you're talking about easily top 5 duo in the league, and maybe better.
Yeah. Well, number one, if they're both at their peak, where Ward 2 years ago was the best playmaker when he was with the 49ers, the best playmaker in the NFL. He was not necessarily the best corner, but he was making plays every week that made a difference in the game. And just one of those guys who knows where the ball is and knows how to fight. We didn't see a lot of that last year with his limitations. The same with Gardner, who 2 years ago was so damn good. Last year, we just didn't see it much.
All right, so I got to ask you guys, the whole Kenny Moore thing. He wanted out. He has a signing place. I mean, like,
Don't blame him for wanting out.
Is he black flagged now, or is he, not able to get into?
It's a good question. I hadn't even thought of it.
In someplace else, because I think he would have made this defense better. I mean,
yeah, he would have. I mean, and Greg and I will say, you say he, don't blame him for wanting out. I can recall a game, the Colts game I went to, my senior year of high school, where the Colts had to beat the Raiders at home to make the playoffs, and I watched Kenny Moore follow Hunter Renfrow around like a lost dog for an entire game. My memory is not going to serve me right, but I'm not exaggerating. I think Hunter Renfrow may have gone for like 20 receptions, 250 yards, and 4 touchdowns in that game. And I don't think Hunter Renfrow's played in the NFL in 2 years.
That's right.
So,
there was a time where that wouldn't have been the case, but Kenny Moore is really
This was 4 years ago. This was Kenny Moore's prime. This happened.
I guess I'm just not a big fan of crybabies, and I mean, and I get that there were probably some things that I don't understand.
You feel a little hopeless about this franchise, Dave?
Well,
would you blame a player for feeling a little hopeless about this franchise? They're putting all their marbles into a guy who just had an ACL reconstruction, who at best is pretty good.
This is what
Chris Ballard.
This is his career. This is what he's getting paid big time money for.
I
mean, I would happily take his money and lose.
I know you're only saying this because he's your guy, and you got to understand a player's saying, "Look, I want to go somewhere where I have a chance." This franchise, I've been serving this franchise a long time. It's going nothing but backwards.
But where's he going?
He served us?
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I watched the Colts play a fucking playoff game, Greg. He's not serving us that well.
Wasn't because of him. He was very good.
He got better as a nickel. But Kenny Moore
that's all he is. He's not a franchise.
So you're a leader. You're a leader of an organization. You say that you want to be here and be a part of the solution, and you want out to go win. Why win here? Why do you have to go elsewhere?
Is he going to win here? Do you see hope for a Super Bowl in the next 4 years?
No, but any team that is going to go win already has a good nickel. Who's the third best nickel in the league, Greg? You can't name me 2 of them. So nickel is a position that's great if you've got a great one.
It's a very important position today, Will.
Yeah, with today's personnel, and yet nobody can ever tell me who the third best nickel in the league is. So it's clearly not.
It's because when you watch the games, they mostly just call him corner.
It's like having the best closer in the league. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares if you have the best closer in the MLB, because the best closer 2 years ago, Edwin Diaz for the Mets, the trumpet guy. Everybody was all about him. You couldn't tell me where he played 2 weeks ago.
I have just discovered my role in this podcast. That is to bring up topics that the two of you could
God bless it. It just upsets the hell out of me.
Well, because you're thinking as a fan.
I want out.
You're thinking of your situation, not his. That's why.
The problem is his situation is not working out, and I think there's a little bit of karma.
There is.
As a Colts fan and as a Colts, Colts.
I just say I get his frustration.
Front office,
That's all.
I get his frustration. I really do. I understand where you're coming from with we're not. But Kenny, be who you can afford to be. Okay, you can't afford to act like you're the best corner in the league, because you're not. You're not the best nickel in the league. Kenny Moore, you're the Colts' 5th best defensive player last year on their team after the addition of Mooney Ward and Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
You're going to be fortunate that if somebody that is actually a contender, a true Super Bowl contender, wants you to be a part of their franchise. Now, I do think part of it is he's choosing where he wants to go. He doesn't want to do the old OTA BS. He doesn't want to do the grunt crap work in
That's
May
probably
June.
part of it. That's
He
probably
wants
part
to
of it.
go
Exactly.
sign somebody, be ready to go day one of training camp, and he got to pick a spot. That's
By the way, everybody, thanks for listening. Everything from this point on is bonus.
yeah, bonus.
Bonus.
Just like Edwin Diaz on the Dodgers.
That's
Bonus.
right. Bonus time. We're just gonna sit and talk. We're just gonna have.
Well, I have to go here too. I mean, I know this is probably one of the most very important camp battles that everybody's going to care about. Who's going to win the kickers position?
Well,
You know, Dave, the Colts came here in 1983, and they had a good kicker every freaking year until about the last 4 years. Let's get ourselves a good kicker again. What's his name? The hometown hero. Is he going to be? Is he healthy?
Spencer Schrader?
Yeah,
He should be back to compete. I mean,
I hope so.
It's a
He was
shame
awfully good.
it's a shame what happened to him. I mean, on just a Bush League BS play, you go trying to blow a kicker's knee out, blocking an extra point. You deserve a special place in hell. Okay, you do. I'm just be quite honest with you. And it just upsets me because, I mean, Spencer, Notre Dame guy, super personable, interacted with him at a training camp a couple years ago. You know, I thought Blake Grupe was awfully damn good last year, and I think that you have to say that he's probably the front runner, especially considering, I mean, I think Spencer Schrader basically had to get his knee, like, attached back together with every ligament in his knee being blown out, so I don't know what he's going to be able to do. Is his power going to be the same? I don't know. And he was already a kicker that I don't think had tremendous deep.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. The problem is today's kicker, you almost have to have a guy who can kick 60 yards. We got to start thinking about kickers different because all of them make almost every kick now. And the guys that are special now are the guys who make them from 65 yards. And
well, and even beyond that.
We just haven't had that guy.
No, I mean, and I don't know that Grupe, I mean, he set his career long. I believe he set the Colts franchise record in Seattle last year. I think it was a 62-yarder that allowed them to take the lead before the Colts defense.
It was 56 yards for a long time.
Yeah, turned into, Swiss cheese.
When we were growing up, the longest kick ever was 63 yards. The second longest kick ever was 60. Our whole lives growing up.
Until Justin Tucker.
That's right. Until the Raiders kicker, Janikowski was the first one who just started making them 60.
Well, and then Aubrey came in and completely changed.
Now Janikowski would look like the worst kicker in the league.
Yeah,
that's how good the kickers are.
Yeah, they are. They're super specialized. They're really a true element, especially with bringing the ball, advancing it up to the 35 at times. I mean, Brandon Aubrey, you talk about an element of a game that helps a coach. You basically need to get one first down.
That's right.
You get one first down, that's almost 3 points.
3 points every time.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Now,
they're all going to be like that pretty soon. They're going to have to narrow the goalposts. They just have to narrow the goalposts. That's the solution that they never thought of. That I can't believe. We could have just kept the extra point the way it was if you narrow the goalposts.
Well, sure, but
make the kickers be good, not just big legs. Make them be good. Narrow those goalposts.
I think that you say that, and I hear you. I think you bring the goalposts in. I still think the kickers are going to hit it at 85%.
No, they're not. No, you got to narrow them even more than that. Keep narrowing them until they got to kick it between. I'm serious. Make it to where you have to drive down the field. We can't make it where a guy can make an 80-yard field goal and you only have to get one first down.
You know how you can do that? You could take the ball back on a touchback to the 20.
Yeah, just narrow the goalpost. Make it a field goal very difficult.
What are the kickoff rules going to be this year? Are they going to be the same, or are we going to
stop the kickoff?
We're going to do something different again.
Let's just stop with the kickoffs. Get the team the ball at the 20. Whatever. That's just dumb. What are we doing? And let's bring back the onside kick. Let's make it fair.
I'm with you on that. But I say, I think you bring the kickoff and just make it the kickoff again.
Yeah. Yeah. So
why can't you do everything that you're doing now with incentivizing not having a touchback with the kickoff looking normal. Why can't you do that?
Because of the long runs and crashing into each
other. Oh, yeah. I mean, I forgot. It's football.
Yeah.
I forgot where it's at.
But that's why. That's the reason they're not ever going to go back to doing it that way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it makes sense, but why does the college game do it? Why does high school do it? I mean, why does anybody do it then?
They're not 300-pound guys running into each other. I mean, that's their reasoning, and it's understandable. The brain, doesn't matter how big you are, you get hit by a guy 250 pounds, doesn't matter how big you are, it's going to hurt your brain. And, you know, those are the reasons that they give, and I understand them.
I get it. It's just...
We don't want guys getting all cattywampus in their brain.
I mean, I get it. I don't want the listeners of the Central Indiana Sports Report to view me as heartless.
Oh, I already know you're heartless, Will.
But I don't care. I do.
You're the one who promotes violence.
I do promote violence, and I promote physicality.
I don't blame you.
I promote hitting
I don't blame you. I'm just explaining why it is. I don't blame you one bit, and I think you're right. We've lost some manhood.
We have. There's a little element where your sports climate in the country is reflective of your society as a whole. And I think that you can't play defense anymore in the NBA. Hand checking's gone. You can't play defense. Or, you could just be the Pacers and just get hacked.
Uh-oh. I think we're done.
Please die.
Yeah, I think the battery's dead. Is yours still on?
Mine's still on.
Will's and mine are dead.
I'm flashing red.
Ding dong, the microphone's dead. Thanks so much for listening. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.